And closing techniques are it's not closing techniques per se, more than it is. I'm going to mute everybody out, as it is proposal preparation techniques. And so you got to know what to show them. Know when to walk away, know when to run. I just saw that commercial. It just cracks me up. You know, it's not fun playing cards with Kenny Rogers. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about, it's all in the setup, you know, and the setup is, here's the setup. Okay, so here's like you're getting their About You page, getting their financial picture, right? And then you go into the finding the pain, the what if. Okay, so the what if chart. So let me help you with maybe a technique that could help set you up to close better, easier, faster with the client to transition from the financial picture to the pain finding. Okay, and I think this will help you improve your selling quite a bit. And so when I go into the financial picture, basically what I do is I do the T-graph, and I'm going to cover the older person. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the younger kind of, or maybe I'll do both. I know I've done this in the past before, but I feel like I need to really kind of go over this idea again. So let's talk about the older individual that's got a mortgage lead. You know, they send in, maybe they're, well, I'll go into that. But I've got Joe, and I've got Mary, okay? And when I do the About You, I do this. I set up the T-graph with Joe and Mary. And then with Joe and Mary, I put down at the top, I go, so your mortgage, I got your mortgage is $125,000, is that correct? Yeah. Sometimes it's $225,000. But at the top, I put the mortgage amount. They go, and I ask them, so how long is that mortgage? Okay, 30 years. The other thing I ask, again, these are all setup questions. So the other thing I ask is, do you plan on paying that off in 30 years? You can plan on paying that off early. And typically they're going to tell me, most of them will tell me that it's early. They'll pay it off early. But I'll put 30 years, and then in parentheses, you know, they want to pay it off in 20. Let's say they're making an extra mortgage payment a year, and they're trying to pay it off in 20 years. So we got Joe. He's let's say he's 72, and Mary's 68. Okay, so they're older. So immediately I'm thinking mortgage amount, older couple. You know, I might be thinking about mortgage payment protection here. Okay, that's a little bit hard to see. So let me kind of blow this up a little bit more. So mortgage is $125,000 and 30 years, and then I'll put 20. And then I ask them what their mortgage payment is. So let's just say it's $1,000 a month. Okay, so that's my setup. I kind of set up, you know, really kind of what they were looking for. I look at their ages, and I put their ages next to them, just so I can kind of have this layout on how I'm going to kind of work my magic here. Okay. By the way, I think it's *6 to unmute. I've got everyone muted, but I think *6 unmutes you, I believe. I'm not sure, but if you have questions that are burning, you know, we'll get to Q&A. But so here's your older person, and then to find out more about them, I want to know, basically, I'll go into some of their like retirement and so on. So like I'll find out, so I assume Joe and Mary, you're retired, is that correct? Yes, retired. Okay, and then I find out, because I want to know, so what company did you work with? Well, I work for the railroad. Okay, great, railroad. And so you're currently making money off your pension, is that right? Pension, I assume Social Security as well, Social Security. Okay. Then I might ask a question. So what did you do with your, did you have you have a pension? Did you also have any kind of savings or IRA or anything that, that you're also living on? And he might tell me, something. He's got, maybe an IRA also that he's maybe living off of or whatever. Then I go to Mary and ask Mary, so Mary, are you still working or have you retired? What's your situation? And she goes, she might have like a part-time job. Okay. She also has some retirement, Social Security, whatever her situation might be. I ask her the same thing. I ask her the setup questions to find out if there's any other opportunity down the road for an annuity opportunity or so on. Okay. Now, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask just general health questions. So, Joe, just generally, what medications are you taking? Okay, so I'll list down the medications, like high blood pressure, how long you've been on that. You've been on that for 15 years. Okay, great. What other medications are you taking? You're taking a blood thinner. Okay, what is that? How long have you been taking that? And I just write down its medications. Okay, now Joe, have you had any surgeries? And then he'll tell me surgeries, whatever. By finding out this information, and this is all the health up in this block, it gives me a general idea of what I think I can show them, what I cannot show them. Because they're older, I'm going to automatically think whole life or permanent policy because they're maybe a little bit too old to write a term policy. I'm going to try to get them into, maybe a mortgage payment protection mode, but I'm going to try to really understand their situation. So then I find out with Mary as well. Mary, what medications are you taking? So I write down her meds, okay, surgeries, etc. Okay, that sort of thing. So now I kind of get an idea of kind of their general financial picture, medications. And then another part of their financial picture is, okay, Joe, so based on your Social Security and pension, how much do you think you bring home per month just yourself? And he says, well, I get $1,000 from Social Security. I get another $1,500 from my pension. So this is pension. So it's $2,500 a month. Okay. All right. And so, Mary, how much are you bringing home? Well, my part-time job, I'm probably making about $1,000 a part-time job. And then my Social Security is about $1,000 Social Security. So we got you at $2,000. Now, what I want to do, why do I want to do this? I want to know what the household income is, and I want to know how it's split out. So it's like roughly, I don't know, what is that, 2,500 versus 2,000? Maybe it's 55, 45-ish. I'm just guessing. So let's let's be geeky here and find out exactly what that is. Okay, hold on. So 2,500 divided by 4,500. Okay, yeah, 56%. Sorry, I messed up. So Joe, you make about 56% of the income, and Mary is 44% of the income in the home. Okay, great. So this is where I kill them. Okay, this is where I transition. Okay, so I get the lay of the land. Now I'm looking for pain. So I go from financial picture, I flip the chart, and then I go into the what if. Okay, so this is what I kill. This is where I kill them off. I'm demonstrative about it. So I go, all right. So Mary, let's say Joe has a heart attack tomorrow and he dies. Okay, I'll say it like that. I don't try to sugarcoat it. I cross him off. I cross him out. Joe, I kind of like go // Joe has a heart attack tomorrow and dies. Of his income, what part will go to you? So let's just say that his pension does not go to her. because he doesn't have any survivor benefit on it. And then let's say half is Social Security. So they'll tell me, well, I guess half is Social Security, but I don't get his pension. Okay. So let's just add from here, let's add another 500 bucks. So that's 2,500. Okay. So now you were making together 4,500. Okay. Now it's 2,500. So you're going to lose about 2,000 a month of income. So, Mary, let me ask you, $1,000 a month mortgage payment, is that going to be tough to make every month? I'm sure that you can probably make it every month, with your savings or whatever. And then I shut up. Okay, what you just heard was finding pain using a negative reverse. Remember, we talked, a few weeks ago about negative reversing them. So, and she goes, well, no, that's going to be hard. Okay, hard. What does hard mean? Hard means like, how long do you think you'd be able to stay in the house? Okay, I shut up. I'm sure you can move in with your children. I shut up. I let her ask her the question. And I really amplify the pain, that it's going to be hard. And just make it really, drill. I'm not going to talk about pain finding here, but I'm talking about how we're going to set this up to help her out. Okay, but I want to know the situation. And so I drive the pain hard because now they're going from 4,500 a month to 2,500 a month. So, okay, got it. Okay, so Mary dies of a heart attack, stroke, whatever. How much of her income goes to you? Well, obviously the part-time income does not, but part of her Social Security makes 500. Okay, so maybe he's in a better situation. Now he's at 3,000 a month, so he's going from 4,500 to 3,000 a month. And so same thing for you, Joe. I'm sure you still can make that mortgage payment, right? Okay, I'm negative reversing him on that. And it's like, golly, that's going to be tough. All right. So one thing I might suggest is I kind of go into mortgage payment protection mode, because that's on the pain chart or on the what if chart. You kind of go into, and how you set that up for Mary. It's like, Mary, look, we'd love to, I'm sure you'd love to pay off this mortgage to be able to stay in the house, but at Joe's age, that could be pretty expensive. I don't know, maybe you could afford it, but let's talk about some other options. You get older. Let's say that doesn't happen for another 5-10 years. Do you think maybe that you're still going to be able to stay in the house anyway? Like Joe dies of a heart attack. Do you think you might even want to stay in this big house? Is it something that you think is maybe something you don't want to do? I kind of throw out there, like, maybe it's not feasible to stay in the house. Maybe you want to downsize. Okay, so here's one thing, Mary. If we can buy you some time, let me ask you, how long do you think it would take if you had to sell the house? How long do you think it would take you? Take you 12 months? Do you think 12 months, 24 months? If we got you, maybe 12 months to be able to sell the house, and maybe another few thousand to help fix it up to be able to sell it, so that you can get some equity out of it, do you think that could help you out? Okay. Do you think if we got you to be able to cover the mortgage for, let's say, 12 months, that'd be 12,000 to cover the mortgage, and let's say it's another maybe let's say 5,000 to get the house ready to sell, maybe it's 17,000. Maybe we could find a way to get you 17,000 so you can stay in the house for a period of time. Likewise, Joe, and actually I just focus on Mary. Okay, I just focus on Joe. I don't talk about covering Mary. I talk about covering Joe. That'll give you some, 12 months to be able to stay in the house and have a little bit of money. Let's look at let's have another 6 months, maybe $23,000, and that'll give you like 18 months. But I'm sure, Mary, 12 months give you time to sell the house. You get maybe you have the opportunity to get the maximum equity out of it versus the bank foreclosing on you, not getting anything out of the house, the mortgage depleting whatever savings you have left, and so on. So this might be, an option to consider. Would that make sense to you, Mary? Okay, because what you don't want to tell her is something's better than nothing. That's almost like, the mentality that you're going after is something is better than nothing, but you're not saying that because that sounds almost like very condescending. But I kind of look at this option right away. Now look, I could show you how you can go over 125,000, but Joe might have a heart attack right now. And my job, Mary, is to cover you and take care of you, make sure that you're still going to be at least stay in the house for a while until you can, make other arrangements. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm not going to be like all those other agents out there that try to jack you up into a premium that's just way too high. I'm going to try to work with you to find something that will fit your budget. Okay, is that what would you want me to have some options that fit your budget versus pricing you out of the opportunity, pricing you out of the good solutions? And so I'm setting up for mortgage payment protection, gang. This is how I'm going to do it. Is and then I tell them like my clients, all my clients in your situation, very much do this kind of thing here. They take care of the opportunity to get more the equity out of the home by buying time, because I'm sure, Mary, when Joe dies, you're probably not going to be mentally really ready to deal with the financial situation that you're going to be in, and having some breathing room, and that's what we're talking about here, maybe 12 months, 18 months of breathing room will help. Does that make sense? See, I'm closing them on this right away. And I'm not even talking about covering Mary, okay? If they want to know how to cover Mary, they're going to tell me. They're going to ask me, hey, by the way, what would it be to cover Mary? I'm just going to focus on Joe, who's got the biggest pain, and then I'm going to put together some options. And so what I'm going to do when I get to the options sheet, and that's the find it here. Okay, I'm going to tell them what happens next. Okay, that's the next chart, and then I'm going to cover the quotes. Okay, so I'm going to drive this mentality into Joe, and I say, Joe, look, would you want Mary to go through, foreclosure on her house? I mean, when you heard the problem she's going to have, are you wanting to solve that? Is that something you want me to help you with? And I said, well, yeah, let's, figure something out. Okay, that's why I'm here. Let me tell you what happens next. What we're going to do is we're going to find an option that you can afford, that will make sense to you, that will help Mary out, be able to keep her in the home and give her options and get the equity out of the home. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first qualify you, because I'd love to be able to give this to you because you're a great couple. I'd love to give this to you now, but I can't, because the insurance company is going to have to think about you. They're going to think about you thinking about it, so they're going to think about you. So I know a lot of people tell me at this point, well, when they see the options, they just want to think about it. This is not a think about it night tonight. There's nothing to think about because we don't even know if you're going to get this. So this is kind of a two-step process. Number one, we got to first qualify you. So they got to think about you first before you think about it. Okay, so do you agree with me that this is not a think about it night tonight? We're going to try to see if you qualify for an option that's affordable to you. Does that make sense? They say, yeah. Okay, so let me draw out the situation. We're going to write an application on you, okay? And then we're going to send it to the insurance company. I love to draw stuff out because I'm a visual person, so it's easier for me to communicate visually, and it's easier for them. So we're going to send it to the insurance company. What the insurance companies is going to do is they're going to either approve you, and then they're going to send your policy back to you, okay? And then we're going to know what the real price is going to be, if you can get your options, and then I'm going to come back and sit down with you and make sure everything's good. Okay. And at that point, then you got some time to think about it to see if you want to keep it the same price, raise it, lower it, whatever you want to do to adjust it. That's the part where you get to think about, how you want it to be now that we know that it's approved. Okay. Now, that's if they do that. But if they decline it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to sit down and show you some other options that you have. Okay. Because we've got some other options. I'm going to be optimistic and let's just try this one first, and then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to show you some other options, and then we'll see if we can get another type of program approved. That's also affordable, that maybe you have a higher likelihood of getting it based on your health. Does that make sense, Joe and Mary? Okay, so tonight's not to think about it tonight. Tonight's just a night to see what you like, what you think you'd like to qualify for, the price that's affordable, and then we're going to send it in, and they're going to think about you. Okay, so that's the situation here. So let's go ahead and show you some pricing, and then we'll figure out which one you want to apply for. Make sense? Boom, done, done, done. It's done. You close them on the approach, you close them on the process, you got rid of the think about it. It's not a night to think about it, okay? See how that works? And just by drawing it out and kind of the game plan, and this is what you're going to do. Okay, boom, done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the proposal sheet and I'm going to write down the options. Okay, it's the 3 options. And I'm going to take a blank sheet, proposal sheet. So when I get to the slide, it shows the slide. But then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull out a blank sheet, and I'm not going to write down the numbers as much, option 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to write down the number of months of protection I'm going to give them. Okay, so Mary, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to maybe give you $5,000 to help you out, to help fix the house up. And then here we're going to look at 6 months of mortgage payments. Here we're going to look at 12 months of mortgage payments. And then here we're going to look at 18 months of mortgage payments. So this is the time frame we're looking. Okay, and then so you got that $5,000 to help you kind of get the house ready, and then 6, 12, and 18 months mortgage payments. Now you and I know, gang, based on a $1,000 mortgage, that's really $6,000, $12,000, and $18,000, right? Because that's the amount of mortgage paid. But I want to show this because that's the solution, is buying them time. So I'm going to focus on the time. And so let's say 6 months, based on the scenario, I don't know what it is. It's probably going to be up there. This might be $75 a month. This might be $125. This might be $150. Actually, it's probably incrementally 50. It's probably going to be $175. I'm guessing, a month. So what do most people do? They pick the middle one. So what you've done is kind of done the low, the high, and then the middle is the one that's like, well, we could probably do that. Okay, great. Done. So, or I'd say, Joe and Mary, circle the one which best meets your needs and budget. I put the paper in front of them. I put the pen there, and I let them look at it, right? Boom, done. Mortgage payment protection rocks, okay? And so when they start getting older and they got the large, mortgage, I'm going to be realistic and see what I can get them covered on final expense. So these are based on final expense whole life. So again, I throw in there that, by the way, this isn't a term policy, and I don't know that at your age you'd want to get a term policy. Wouldn't you want something that's going to go beyond, like if you live beyond 10 years, which is about the longest term I think you can get at your ages, Joe, you live 8 to 82 in one day, that policy's gone. So, I don't know. I know you might be thinking term, but term at your age may not be the best program. I mean, I could quote you, but again, I don't want to give you a heart attack right here. Okay, let's look at this. This will be in place all the time. So you will always have this in place, no matter when you pass away. And Mary, doesn't that give you a peace of mind that knowing that no matter what, that you are going to be able to take advantage of this program, right? So this is really kind of the mortgage payment protection approach. Is I set it up by doing all this. All this is the setup. I set this up. I find out. We look at the problem they have. Okay, their mortgage payment, their mortgage is the problem. Get their ages down. I want to know what I'm dealing with health-wise. So I'm not trying to write an application on someone that I find out later that they can't get into. I want to know these in detail. I want to know potential for, what kind of income are we talking about that they're getting into the home and possibility of annuity opportunities. And then let's talk turkey. Let's go into the pain finding and find out what if, by killing Joe, finding out her problem and finding out that Mary has a problem. Now, it could be opposite. It could be Joe might have a worse problem than Mary. Then I'm talking about covering Mary instead of Joe. Because sometimes maybe the wife's set up, maybe she's younger, maybe she's like, 45, 50. Rock on, man. Joe rocks. She's got a young wife. And she's working, she's got more money coming in. So maybe we're talking less coverage for Joe. All right? But then I just focus on the one. So I focus on closing Joe, taking care of Joe, so that Mary's going to be fine. And then, like I mentioned, after I'm done closing them, they circle this one, I'm writing this up. Right when I'm kind of finishing up, Joe might say, well, can you throw me some numbers for Mary? Oh, you interested in getting Mary covered too? Well, yeah, let's take a look at what we can do for her. Then I go back in the mode and I do the same thing with her, figuring out maybe, maybe for her, maybe it's not as much. Okay? It's going to be cheaper because she's younger, but, based on health, that'll also, be contingent upon that. But I've been finding, at least in our area here, that we can get a lot of mortgage protection leads of senior clients. Okay, remember, the aging of the baby boomer is what we're talking about. So this is kind of my methodology of really talking turkey and finding out, their situation and then digging for the pain so it sets me up to do the mortgage payment protection. All right? So I'm going to unmute and see if anyone has any questions at all. Mute is off. Okay, does anyone have any questions on kind of orienting mortgage payment protection using this T-bar? And you know what, by the way, I do this for young people too. So I'm not talking mortgage payment protection. I'm going to put in mortgage coverage, okay? And if Mary and Joe make 50%, 50%, then I'm talking full coverage, 50% coverage, and then maybe a little bit less with accidental death, okay? So I may be doing that with a couple that's, that can get a good term policy, simplified issue. And I'm doing the same thing, finding the income ratios. And then I focus on the person who has the biggest problem, Mary. Let's say Mary makes, 40% of the income, Joe makes 60% of the income. I'm going to take care of Joe first, and then I let them tell me, well, what would it be to cover Mary? I close Joe on his policy, and then we'll cover Mary if they ask me. If they don't ever ask me, I may suggest it, I may not. What they're basically telling me is that's what they can afford, but I might ask, I might throw it out there. So, Joe is, you're okay if Mary passes away, right? So that's what I do there. So does anyone have any questions at all? Wow, silence. Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah, sure.
This is Mike Chonka.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, when you put that chart together, the three options, you have the $5,000 for the home repair, and then 6, 12, and 18 months. As long as we're talking about final expense, should we maybe add the cost of a funeral in there too, just to make the people aware of that?
Well, no. Only if they ask me. I'm just going to try to focus on what the thing they're looking for. All right. If they ask me, well, how much would be to add a little bit more for a cremation? I'll throw it in there. But look, I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to help them. I'm not trying to upsell them. Okay, because that might sound like an upsell. I'm not trying to upsell them until they tell me, well, The other thing I do ask though is, do you have any other life insurance or any kind of insurance in place? So that kind of goes up here. Do you have any other life insurance in place? He might say he has a $10,000 policy. Mary might have, a $5,000 policy that they got. And that's what I typically hear from people. And then on occasion, I find out they have nothing. So if they have nothing, then there's a more of a serious problem. You know what I mean? But anyway, but you hear.
I have a question. That's my issue is that I run into a lot of people that already have quite a bit of insurance, or but they filled out one of these things and maybe they've just bought a new house or something, and then they are older and have their bigger mortgage amounts, and so the cost. There's no way to cover that whole mortgage. Without $600 or $1,000 a month policy.
Well, I hope you're not showing them that. I hope you're not showing them that.
Oh. No.
Yeah, this allows you not to show them that.
But
And here's what I do when they say, "Well, we've got plenty of life insurance." I go, "Joe, most of my clients already have life insurance. Life insurance covers income protection. We're not talking about income protection here. We're talking about mortgage protection."
okay.
So what you did was you did a neurolinguistic programming technique called reframing. But Alex, this is all life insurance. No, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Now, you're not saying that, but in your own mind, it's not life. Life insurance is for income protection.
Okay.
This is mortgage protection. Most of my clients already have life insurance to protect their income. We're talking about taking care of the mortgage. Okay? So let's not talk about that. Do you see what you just did? You did this Jedi mind trick of reframing. And because we're in the political process right now of picking a new leader for our country, the best reframers are politicians. Right? This is how you could have a pro-abortion candidate say he's pro-life by defining what he says is pro-life. And then he says, "I'm pro-life," when actually he's pro-abortion. Politicians do it all the time. You got to listen to how they do it, because that's how you reframe everything in the sale, that this thing is life insurance is income protection. Does that make sense?
Yes. That's a big help.
Okay, Mike Chonka, you're having trouble with the think about it. Do you see how I dismiss a think about it? Like with a wave of my hand. With a wave of my hand, I got rid of think about it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty slick the way the way that you showed that, and I'm going to be showing that from now on, because I never took it to that step.
Well, that's why we're doing these conference calls, so that we can teach you how to get there. Another way to get rid of think about it, when I'm kind of talking to them, is when I'm doing. See, that's why it's so important to draw this out. Okay, is I tell them, let's not think about it tonight. They're going to think about you. And really, there's only two reasons why people want to think about it. The first reason is they think they can't afford it. Okay, and Joe, you're the one that picks it. Okay, so that's not a good reason. The second reason, they don't like me. So Joe, I hope that's not the case, that you want to think about it just because you want to get rid of me and you don't like me. Because I think taking care of Mary is probably the most important thing here. Wouldn't you agree? Bang. What's he going to say? No? And you just hung them. I say that the technique is called hang them by their own words. When you ask questions, they say stuff that they then commit to. So I want to hear it from their mouth, right? So that's how you get rid of think about it. Any other questions?
Yeah, that whole section where you're going over the game plan with them, like you're not going to think about. You start out with this, not to think about at night, and you go over, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to choose. You're going to choose a plan, and that part is where At first, I was thinking you were saying you were going to come back another time and they could change their minds, and I'm like a little confused on that area. So how
Well,
fast is that? Do you go through that part and what?
it's about exact you. Okay, so what you did was you summarized incorrectly. Okay, so you're gonna have to re-listen to this because what you said was not what I said, right? Like, gang, seriously, if you think the first time you learn something is the first time you hear it, you are wrong. I'll tell you right now, that's the worst thing you can do. You got to listen and re-listen and re-listen, and then you got to copy, copy, copy. See, because what I love about what you just did, Carol, is that you just proved that you only catch 20% of what you hear. So it's like now you're going to go off. Mike is going to go off thinking what you just said is how to do it, and what you said is not how to do it. It's the wrong way to do it, and then you're going to fail again. No, don't say sorry. You were just it's a great point that you brought up. You know, it's like, it cracks me up when people listen to, they come and listen to this. Okay, I'm going to rant. All right, so let me rant right now. They have the audacity to think that they can learn everything the first time through listening to this. And then I spend my time, energy, and effort to record it, edit it, put it up on YouTube, and then I send it, an email, blast it out, and then you guys never click on it to listen to it again because you have this arrogance thinking that you just learned it the first time through. Well, that ain't true. Okay, now I'm smiling. Everything's cool. Don't worry. Okay, I'm just saying not all of you are like that, but some of you will get like that and think the first time you hear it is how you do it. No, you got to be a professional. You got to learn your craft, and that's listening to it over and over and over and over and over again. Why? Because you're talking about taking care of family. So if you walk out of there and not take care of them, your chance of closing them goes down 70%. And then you walk away, and then maybe they die because you didn't do your job. You know what I'm saying? So again, emphasis is you don't learn it the first time through. You learn it by listening and learning and watching it over and over again. Repetition is the key to education. All right? Okay, so how I do it is, okay, so let me tell you what happens from here, Joe and Mary. What we're going to do is we're going to show you options. I'm going to show you 3 options. You're going to pick the option that best meets your needs and budget. And so in order to do that, we need to write up an application, okay, on you, and then we're going to send it to the insurance company, okay? Now, what the insurance company is going to do with all this information is they're going to think about you. They're going to think about whether or not they're going to give this policy to you, okay? So they're going to think about you, whether or not they're going to issue the policy. So really, Joe and Mary, some people tell me they want to think about it tonight, and tonight's not a think about it night tonight, because there's nothing to think about. To think about it is to assume you have it, but people get declined with this. So tonight, tonight's not a think about it night because you have nothing to think about. Basically, what we're going to do is give the insurance company time to think about you. Okay? And once they think about you, it might take a day, it might take a week. Who knows? It might take 3 weeks. But it's going to take time. They're going to think about you, and then if they like you and they think you can get into this policy, they're going to issue this policy. And then they're going to either send it to you or I'm going to deliver it to you. And then at that point, when I show you what's in it, the rate, we're going to find out what exactly the rate is going to be. Maybe it's the same rate, maybe it's a different rate. Then I'm going to get with you, and then we're going to kind of see maybe if you want to increase the coverage, maybe if you want to decrease it, if you want to keep the rate the same. It's kind of up to you. Once you think about it here, you can't think about it here. They're thinking about you here. This is where we decide, if everything's cool and then we just keep forward and keep going with it, or we change something about it. Does that make sense? So there's nothing to think about it yet until I deliver it to you, or this company sends it to you and I come over, we open it up and I show you what's in it, and then determine at that point, what you want to do. Does that make sense, Joe and Mary? But look, you're going to pick the price, you're going to pick everything about it before we go in. If they approve you, then it's going to be how you pretty much want it. So chances are you're probably not going to want to change anything, but I'm going to be there if there's something you want to adjust in it. Maybe you want to add more to it. now that you know that they've approved you. Joe Mary, does that make sense? Bang, done. Okay, does that make sense, Carol?
Yes, that makes a lot more sense now. And the only thing, and then I just, since I'm still so new, I don't get the part. How easy is it to change something if they want to change something on the policy?
Easy, easy. Okay, it's the easy button. I'm not going to teach you how to do it. I'm not going to teach you how to do it right here, but it's easy. Okay, when you run into that situation, we can walk you through it. It's pretty easy. Now, the other thing I'll also do, okay, so I kind of got to that part. It's like, Joe, Mary, now look, everything's great, but, maybe they don't give you this policy. So now, okay, now I'm kind of adding other things in here, but this is other stuff I say. Now, look, I don't want you to get mad at me because, that's just what happens. Maybe something in your health or something in your medical records, whatever comes up, and then they decline you. Not a problem. Okay, remember, I'm here to help you. We're going to go for the best program that we think based on your health. But if they should decline you, that's not a problem. I'm going to come back. Okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to help you. I like drawing. I like drawing things out. I'm going to come back and I'm going to help you find something else that then we can go to another insurance company. Maybe do another one, we go to another insurance company and get you covered. All right, so this might be a short process, it might be a long process, but understand I'm going to be hanging with you all along the way. Okay? Now, here's the setup for the last thing when you do the post sale. The last part of the ATM is protecting your sale. So you're saying, okay, Joe and Mary, does this feel good at $125 a month? Is that something you think you can afford? Christmas is coming up in December. You're going to have bills coming up. Is $125, is that going to be okay in your budget? And I'm waiting for them to tell me yes or no. They say yes. Okay, great. Now look, as I mentioned before, this might take a day, it might take a week, it could take a month. But here's what I would ask you. These companies, other agents out there are very aggressive. They're going to be calling you even after I leave. And they're going to try to convince you that they're going to come in and give you a better price and give you a better this and a better that. I would hope that because we spent some time that you're going to hang in there with me, that we're going through my process. I'm going to give you the best possible rate that the insurance industry is going to give you because I have 13 companies that I can work with. All right. So can you promise me that when someone calls you wanting to book an appointment and they're going to do their slick salesperson stuff on telling you, that I'm bad or can I ask you that you just hold off and not do anything with anyone else until we follow this thing all the way through? Is that okay? And what you've done is you protected yourself from another slimy NA agent that tries to go in and replace what you're doing. Yes, I said NA agent. Because sometimes it's an NA agent that will come and replace you. It could be another agent from another agency that will come and replace you. But by doing that, you've protected your client, okay? And you've given yourself a chance to take care of them and have them, and again, that doesn't happen until they trust you and believe you. Remember, going back to the pain and the bond and rapport. If they trust you and believe you, then they're going to hang with you, okay? So again, everything is a setup for the next thing. This is a setup for the think about it and the close. The think about it is a setup for the post sell where you lock them and protect yourself for you so that another slimy agent doesn't go in there and try to replace it. Does that make sense? All right. Any other questions? I'm out of rant mode. You can learn this, gang. Look, if I could learn it, you can learn it. But you got to listen. You're man, nice dog. You just got to listen all the time, often. Have the stuff running in your car, right? Let your car be a rolling university of knowledge. And the more you listen, the more you're going to learn. The less you listen, the less you're going to learn and get it. All right, gang? Makes sense? All right, I'm way over. I appreciate Daryl for sharing that information with us. Thanks, Karen, for giving us some ideas and tips on organization. And then, man, I hope you guys got this part. So, all right, gang, rock and roll, man. Let's make this week an awesome week, right? We're getting into The best time of year to make sales is the fall, and then we start running up into the holiday season. So you got to get as much production in, to prepare for the holiday season. And so work your butts off, man. I promise you, you won't regret it when holiday season comes around. All right, rock and roll. Thanks everybody for plugging in. Take care. God bless. Bye now.